So, as we've been looking into the connection between the Tory party and JCB, we need to take a look at the boss of JCB, Anthony Bamford, or Lord Bamford as he's more commonly known, just because Cameron put him forward for the House of Lords. Bamford and family have donated over £10 million to the Conservatives over the last 20 years. Today we're going to have a quick look though at this letter, a letter to JCB employees prior to the Brexit vote.
Dear colleague, the EU referendum takes place on June 23rd and no one can be certain of the outcome. One thing I'm certain of is this: JCB will continue to trade with Europe irrespective of whether we remain in or leave the EU. In fact, as a nation, over 53% of our UK exports go to non-EU countries.
Meaning almost half goes to the EU. Why jeopardise putting a dent in the other 47%?
This referendum is very important. The outcome will determine the future of our country. It will have a lasting impact on the lives of our children and grandchildren. So please allow me to share some personal views. The UK is a trading nation and the 5th largest economy in the world.
We're the 6th now actually.
I'm very confident that we can stand on our own 2 feet. I believe that JCB and the UK can prosper just as much outside the EU, so there is very little to fear if we choose to leave.
I always have to laugh when you have millionaires, or a billionaire in this case, saying things will be okay. Plus, this is from a guy whose donations to the Tories means he gets back much more in return. The cost of living crisis to him is like a microscopic bug, too small to even notice.
I voted to stay in the common market in 1975. I did not vote for a political union. I did not expect us to hand over sovereignty to the EU. I certainly did not expect unaccountable leaders in Brussels to govern over us.
People say sovereignty, but it's not like we didn't have a place at the table in Brussels. Instead, we sent arseholes like Farage, who didn't even turn up half the time.
In 1973, when we joined as its 8th member, the EU accounted for 31% of world economic output. Today, with 28 member countries, the figure is just 17%, which underlines the shrinking role of the EU in the world economy.
Pull out and be even more insignificant, like a little fish outside of a shoal.
So, do I wish to remain in the EU, of diminishing economic importance as it moves towards ever closer union? Or do I want to pull out of the EU, reclaim our sovereignty and regain control of how we trade with Europe and the world? After more than 40 years in the EU, I will be voting to leave. Finally, if the democratic decision after June 23rd is to remain, it will be interesting to see how the UK fits into the EU of the future, given that political and fiscal union remains its ultimate goal.
So, be part of a group or be out on your own. Joining any trading group outside of Europe comes with benefits and drawbacks. Anyway, we'll get into this notion of the lone wolf approach to trading globally in other videos.
Yours faithfully, Anthony Bamford.
Click here for a video about Johnson and JCB.